right behind me is kind of the intersection for Shamrock, Oklahoma, and kind of the main, I guess, part of the former town, now unincorporated a few years ago. It actually, the main downtown was further down this way. And actually, as I was driving around today, I met a local. He told me the whole history of the town. And so they moved it down there because that's where the railroad was. Originally, it was a little bit farther this way, moved it down there. And then and it was an oil town. Oil was discovered here, became very popular. The original settler of the town named it after his hometown in Illinois, Shamrock, Illinois. The town took on the Irish theme. A lot of the streets are named with Irish names, and it became a successful boom town in the 1920s, and so successful that in 1932, Pretty Boy Floyd, famous bank robber, robbed the bank down the street here. That was probably one of the last major things that happened here, and started to shrink and become a smaller town, and now a ghost town of Oklahoma. Standing in downtown Fallis, Oklahoma. Technically the population is 21, but I had an interesting conversation with a guy back here on the lawnmower. He said it's more like 6. So it was just outside the top 10 smallest towns in Oklahoma video that I did, but maybe it should be. But I'm not sure where the city limits are and how what they determine. But I trust the guy that lives here and is basically has the house right in the middle of town. There said to be 400 or 500 people in this area one time. It was a kind of a booming little town, and just like a lot of these towns, it just being isolated out here, it was not able to sustain the population as time went on, and it's just slowly declined every census, and officially at 21 in the 2020 census. But a beautiful area, a lot of red dirt roads to get out here, and even the asphalt roads are covered in red because of all the dirt people track on their vehicles and then get on the main roads. So a very beautiful area. Ingalls, Oklahoma was never very big, and and it's still not very big, so I guess you call it a ghost town, but it had about 150 people in it. These buildings actually behind me are replicas of buildings that either were or might have been in Ingalls 120, 130 years ago. Ingalls around these parts is known for what was called the Battle of Ingalls. Notorious outlaws, the Doolin and Dalton gang was here, and I think there were 4 guys in that who caused havoc, and Ingalls kind of, turned a blind eye because they would spend money here and help the little town of Ingalls. But then when law enforcement from Stillwater and Guthrie, which are nearby cities back then, the bigger cities, heard that they were here, they came down to try to apprehend them, and a fight broke out. The gang escaped, I think, except for one of them, and then but like 3 of the deputies or officers were killed just down the street here, and there's a little monument kind of talking about that and the history of that. So it's very small, very quiet. All the houses that are around here look newer and in pretty good condition, but there is some little bit of outlaw history in Ingalls, Oklahoma. Last stop is Ingersoll, Oklahoma. This was a kind of a boom town, but in a way because of the railroad. The railroad came through here and the town was built, and immediately there were like 1,000 people here. Ingersoll was named after the president of the railroad, and I think his name was James Ingersoll, and some people thought it was named after, I think it was a guy named Robert Ingersoll, who was a famous agnostic, and so people thought this was a sinful place, especially this part of the country. You don't want to be associated with that. So there definitely probably were attracted some rowdy elements to Ingersoll. A lot of people put their effort behind Ingersoll to be the county seat. It lost to nearby Cherokee, and then kind of slowly dwindled after that. The railroad was abandoned in the 1930s. Population continued to decline, and now there's some nice houses. These 2 elevators behind me are pretty cool. One of them is on the National Register of Historic Places. I think it's this one right here. For people to stop. Bugs everywhere at this place.